AstroDetectives, the show where we try to match our guests to their correct astrological birth chart. As always, we have two charts to choose from, and today our suspect is either a Gemini or an Aquarius. You like that change, Sarah? Suspect. We're looking for the perp. I'm Scott, a skeptic of astrology, and I'm joined by my co-host, professional astrologer, and fellow detective, Sarah Hartshorn. Sarah, what are we going to do with the possible Gemini or Aquarius, and what are we looking for?
We're going to sit them down and we're going to interrogate them.
That's right. And we don't know who good cop and bad cop is. We have both in each of us.
Yes.
Just like the full zodiac spectrum, we've got a little bit of good cop and bad cop.
Yes, we do. I'm excited. This is a very airy episode. We've got two air signs, and at least one of them has an air moon too. And I think, wait, I have to get my charts up. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. Yes, there's a lot of air going on in both these charts. That's what I have to say.
All right.
And do you want to know what that means?
Thoughts, ideas, dialogue, talking, which is good for a podcast.
Yes.
But that's not going to help us in our investigation. We want to know the differences between these two.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we look to the sign's modality for some clues. So modality means cardinal, fixed, or mutable. And so each element has one of each of those. And so Gemini is a mutable air sign, and mutable air means that it's very like adaptable and changeable. And so the way that Gemini works with air is it likes to gather information, it likes to consider lots of possibilities and options, and it can be very endlessly curious but easily bored. And so they can be given to jump from topic to topic in a conversation without going too deep, because they just tend to get bored and they're like, okay, next thing, or like, what if we did this, or what if we did this, or what if we did this endlessly. And so but then Aquarius is a fixed air sign, and fixed signs tend to stabilize the element that they work with. And so fixed air is more about stabilizing and committing and upholding ideals. Aquarius is a real visionary. They are very innovative. They're very much kind of like looking to the future, and they want to do what is good they want humanity to be better. They have their ideals, and so they really like to kind of stick to their convictions about things and uphold ideals and their visions. So it's more going to be much more stubborn about ideas than Gemini, who's like could see, consider both sides.
All righty. So we've got the Gemini and the Aquarius are just the sun signs. We're just scratching the surface. Now, most of our listeners are pretty familiar with astrology, and they're going to say, that's nothing. You can't, why even just talk about sun signs? That's like pop astrology. You guys need to give me the full chart. I need to know rising signs, moon signs. I need to know where Saturn is.
Yeah.
Where
exactly.
Can they find these things out?
Well, you can go get these charts, our case files, and download them from AstroDetectivesPod.com. We have them available there with, either whole sign or Placidus, and you get the little survey that the perp filled out, our guests filled out. And if you want to get the actual, like all the data so you can actually plug it into your own chart system, sign up for our Patreon, our detective level, and we will send those case files to you, the unredacted ones. But just for our audio listeners, so our Gemini is a Taurus rising with a Taurus moon. And our Aquarius is a Virgo rising with a Libra moon. So, what's interesting to double down on all the air communication energy is the Taurus has Mercury in their first house. So, Mercury is a sign associated with like communication and intellect. So, when anything's in the first house, it's going to be very expressed. And then our Aquarius is a Virgo rising, which is ruled by Mercury, and that Mercury is also in Aquarius. So I just feel like this is going to be a very talkative episode. And the moon today, right now, as we're recording this, is in the sign of Aquarius. So that's interesting. So
What is that gonna do?
well, I don't know, but like I don't know what
I'm
it's
always
going.
like, the moon's gonna be somewhere.
Yeah, no. So the moon is the thing that moves most quickly in the sky. And so whatever, it changes signs every 2.5 days. And so when the moon is in an air sign or in Aquarius, you usually are it's stimulating conversation. So I just feel like this is going to be a very interesting episode with lots of insights and conversation and things to think about.
As opposed to every other episode?
Well,
This is
we have had some guests that are a little bit more, less conversational.
so this is in relation to the guest, not necessarily the episode.
I'm
Being a
saying
good, interesting episode that has deep conversations.
I'm saying both the guest is going to have a lot of air in their chart, and the moon is in the air sign today. So that is all I feel like setting us up for a talkative episode.
Today, around the world, deep ideas are being discussed more than average, is astrology's what they're saying is happening. Their claim is that the moon being in Aquarius is having more interesting, deep conversations are happening today on Thursday, June 4th.
It's reflecting that.
Well, yeah, that it's saying that that's happening right now.
Conversations, ideas, yeah, when the moon is in an air sign, that's an ideal time to have a conversation or yeah, connect.
All right. Well, we have connected the dots on the intro. Then we're going to go to commercial and we'll be right back with our suspect, who is either an Aquarius or a Gemini. And we're going to have lots of talking to figure out which one they are right after this. Hey, listeners, we're not just a podcast that tests astrology. We're an independent detective agency. That means we rely on you to help us keep the show running.
Exactly. By joining AstroDetectives on Patreon, you can support our mission to finally prove astrology is real.
Or, completely debunk it.
Here we go again.
One thing we can agree on, Astro Detectives is the only place you'll find astrologers and skeptics working together, like a buddy cop movie you didn't know you needed.
And trust me, detective work takes time, gathering evidence, late night stakeouts, solving cases, especially when Mercury's retrograde.
Okay, you can't blame Mercury.
The first step is easy and free. Just follow Astro Detectives on Patreon to get access to our debrief episodes where the conversation continues after each case ends. We break down what went right and what went wrong.
And if you want to fast track your training, become a rookie detective for only $3 a month. You'll unlock exclusive bonus episodes, plus early releases and the top secret case files sent straight to your inbox.
Or for just $1 a month, we'll make you an Astro intern. No compensation per se, but hey, you'll gain valuable detective experience and that warm fuzzy feeling knowing you're helping us keep the lights on.
So if you like what we're doing and want to support us, head over to patreon.com/astrodetectives and join the investigation today. Welcome back, everybody. We are now joined with our guest this week. It's Mia. Welcome to Astro Detectives.
Hello, everybody.
First off, where are you joining us from, Mia?
Okay, I'm coming from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. What do you identify with about Brooklyn, or what should people know about Brooklyn?
God. Brooklyn is huge, but it's not really like square mileage huge, but it is huge. And it takes a long time just getting around Brooklyn if you're living in Brooklyn. But it's just full of so much different history and cultures and yeah, it's got the beach, it's got a downtown, it's got food markets, it's kind of got anything you can think of. Mall, I think. But Brooklyn is, yeah, it's like a proper large city. Yeah.
I've been doing a rewatch of Girls on HBO, and they're always all over Brooklyn. And it made me open up a map and realize that square footage or square mileage wise, it is a pretty big borough.
Right. Right. It's huge, but honestly, like I'm originally from Texas, so I'm used to like sprawled out city. But if you're like here in a car, there's no like there's you don't have that same like highway hop around and neighborhood experience. Like you kind of have to get on that bus and then get on that train and everything will end up changing when you pop from one neighborhood to the next. But like being from Texas where everything is so sprawled out and big, it's a different type of like distance to cross.
Was there anything that led you to Brooklyn? Led you to leave Texas, or what kind of stops did you have in between? Was it, Austin to Brooklyn, or what brought you to Brooklyn?
Austin to San Antonio, San Antonio to Long Beach, California, Long Beach, California to San Francisco, California, and then San Francisco, California to Brooklyn. So it's been a few stops. It's been quite a few stops. But I came here after college for work. I work in the fashion industry. So yeah, it's like
Cool.
here or there's like what in LA, places where you're going to have just like a lot of companies, a lot of manufacturing, a lot of factories. So yeah, New York City was the spot.
Cool. Well, what got you into the fashion industry? Can you talk a little bit about what you do?
Oh, okay. So actually, I work as a technical designer. So it's a merge of pattern making, communicating with sample sewers. It's basically just like writing instructions on how to make clothes. I've always enjoyed the elements of fashion, clothing, and how people kind of put things together. But I always liked it kind of from an anthropological standpoint. Like, I like seeing how people, find what they like to express who they are. And I just thought this is great. I kind of wanted to study it from like a fine art perspective, but it's really important to just like know how garments are made. So went to school and really I think it was more I kind of came out and I wasn't thinking like, oh, I want to be a fashion designer and start this line, but I knew I wanted to work in like making things. I like understanding how things are made and the people behind it and all of the different nuances of expertise. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I get to do for work. I just basically pull instructions together, but they go to so many different experts all throughout the industry, and it's fun. Yeah, it's fun to learn about how basic things get made.
Well, I mean, some of those pieces are probably not basic at all. Are you dealing with, what people might consider, some of those high fashion items, or what types of items are you working with?
Oh my God. So I work in active. So it's specific, but I didn't start off in active. But so I started in ready to wear and I did not like it. It is a very specific, like you're making all of these garments and it's for like 10 minutes tops going down the runway. And then after that, like most of those clothes never end up in a department store. And so I wanted to work on product that like connects back to people in their lives, what they do all the time. And active is definitely that, whether you're working on like something for girls basketball or tennis or running, it's like each space in which that garment is intended to function, there's a whole community of people who kind of share a philosophy on how to put themselves together and like what works. So it's fun. It's a lot more like wear testing and making sure you can run in those running shorts. So it's a little more like person to product, I think, connecting than just not that the couture, and not that those things don't connect, but they connect with a smaller audience. So it's like people who can afford it typically, buy into it. And even then getting their feedback is very different. You're talking about people who like something that's so special made. A lot of times they're not going to say it fits like crap, or they could barely walk up the stairs in it. They're just so excited to be seen in it. And I do like function in products, like things that make people able to do more and worry less. So I think it's just like a different approach. One I think handles so much more fantasy, and then the other one's just sort of like helping you fantasize about being that star athlete in those shorts. So it's still fantasy, but it's a little bit more of like the reality of how we have to move and what our bodies really need. But it has some ends to it.
And it sounds like you're helping to take the ideas and synthesize them into where all of these little bits of information need to go to create the product, or how much of it is a team exercise also versus, one creative person designing the perfect shirt?
So funny. And that's kind of what I think TV presents, is like there's this one person, and you do need this like one creative direction, and that is true. But really, if you're very there's just like parts of your brain that do different things, and some won't connect back to reality. So a lot of times you're looking for people who have a good taste in terms of like picking out raw materials, right? And know how those components can go together, and then can design into that. But I work on the end of making sure that can function. And so sometimes if you're jumping from your more practical brain into your fantasy brain, like there might not be a way to get into that t-shirt, the neckline's so tight. So that's that part where I step in and kind of work with teams to help them understand like what we need to communicate to get that prototype back and to actually produce it with as little risk as possible. So a lot of times you throw a garment on a model, but most people aren't wearing the model size variation of that. So it's just like helping people picture that in a room. Like, yes, this looks good on, Heidi Klum right now, but will this work on a different body, or, do these pockets really function? Those are kind of like what I'm kind of looking out for and communicating, because when you make a production of this of stuff, you can lose a lot of money just like making defective products. And we've all come across something defective, just doesn't really function. And that's easy to have happen if you just kind of hang out in the fantasy creation process. So I try to connect like the left brain and the right brain together. I have to picture it too, because it starts off in sketch or with just materials, but helping people like understand, she can't wish her way into the garment. It's like a stupid joke, but that's a lot of times you'll get a design where you're like, how are they getting in it? Like, what are they? Right. And then that comes back that takes time. So anyways, we're dealing with just more of like the practical elements of like production. But I think it's fun. I think it's a lot of fun.
Well, good. I was about to ask, what is rewarding about it to you specifically? It's fun, but can you kind of say, what is it that makes it fun to you? Or have you ever thought about, what is it about that process that you enjoy?
Okay, so I knew I could not have a career or a job that was going to be boring to me. Do you understand? Like that wasn't going to work well. My brain has to be able to like go through the details of something. So when I was like, okay, I'm going to go into fashion, it wasn't really like wanting to go into fashion, but I knew I needed a job if I was going to work and need to earn money. I needed something my mind could like sit in an office and work through. And so it's like a puzzle. It's like every day kind of getting past a few different types of puzzles. And some puzzles are about, a detail. Are about, the fit or the sizing of it. Some are just about the timing and the logistics. We do this now, well, we have this in 6 weeks and what will get us there. So I love that type of work. Otherwise, if I'm bored at work, I'm a nightmare. Like I'm really just like I'm trying to figure out the longest lunch I can take, or I'm trying to, figure out, can I read a book somewhere? Like my brain does need a certain type of activity during the day. So for me, this is fun. Yeah.
And does it need to have some sort of an element of newness or breaking the rules or reimagining, conventional wisdom?
Okay, I always tell people we don't invent clothes. Nobody can invent clothes because you can't invent the human body. So sometimes when I'm getting something that's just like new, you know, there's a reason it doesn't exist. There's a reason. If it doesn't exist out there, then there's something going on with it. But if there's something new, like an innovation, like you have a new type of snap or a fabric that is like kind of knit together by a new machine that cuts out this problem, I get very excited about that because I feel like, okay, this is the future. This is going to solve some bigger problem one day. But if somebody comes to me and is like, I got a new design, this doesn't exist, this has never been made, I'm kind of like, clothing. Okay, let's talk about that. But then I will say this, I also get upset when people are sharing an idea and they're going, you know what I want? I want to make a t-shirt, but I want it to be 100% cotton. And then somebody goes, that already exists. That ticks me off because I'm like, of course, these things already exist, but what's your connection to the product? And that's going to be different for your customer that you're going to go after. But if McDonald's was like, well, I don't think we should open a burger joint, there's Burger King, like you're missing what I mean, what someone's vision can do with an existing product. So I'm always a little wary of the person who wants to like invent something that's never been done. I'm like, okay, they're in a delusional space right now. But I'm all for someone who's like, you know how you've got McDonald's, right? Well, I have a little diner. I'd like to call it Wendy's, and I'd like ours to be fried. It's like, let's do it. Let's do it because you know what I mean? You've got a story and people are going to connect back to that. So it's got to have a little balance, I guess, to it. But I had a woman I worked with once, and she was like, "Well, I don't want to talk about it because it's just so difficult. It's really hard to explain." And I had a boss who was like, "If it's hard to explain, then that means it doesn't make any sense because we're not inventing anything here. You know what I mean? Just say what it is. But yeah, sometimes some people feel really great about what they're making. It's just like no one will understand it and it's so hard to explain. It's like, okay, well then hold on to the idea for a while. Anyways, that's where it's fun. I do think it's fun. Different space.
Yeah, that does sound right. I mean, I'm trying to think of all different ideas that people must have brought up that are just obviously not going to work, but we don't have time for that. Let's go back to childhood. What kind of a kid were you? What were some of your hobbies? What was your relationship with your parents like?
Okay. I was pretty shy. I was very, very shy, but it was like interesting. I was very shy, very nerdy, very nerdy. I had an older sister and she used to get so mad. She'd be like, push your glasses up. Like, you're embarrassing me. So I was very, very like in my own creative space, but I was very creative. I like to uh, just do my own thing. Very adventurous. I was a little more tomboyish. So I did like kind of more playing with the little boys than the little girls. I was like, come on, Ninja Turtles too, so I was a little, I think just a little more in my head as a kid. I think I had a bigger imagination and I was very shy and um yeah, but it wasn't like yeah, I was a little shyer. And then I think for after a while I developed a sense of humor by middle school and I always had a little bit of comedy to me. I like humor. Um and so yeah, I would say like at home I would be really quiet and at school, I would have like back and forths, but people would be like, "You're really funny." So yeah, I guess that was childhood. I wasn't really good with studying or homework. No, not good at homework. No.
So they thought you were nerdy, but also you weren't good at the homework. You were like, look at my grades. See, I'm
I
not the
was
nerd.
You know what? I was just not, once school was over, I just wanted that space. Like, I hated what homework was. It's like school's over and now I want my own brain space. But I wrote a lot of creative stories. So I did a lot of creative writing. And I would just do like long span, like whole notebooks of little shorter stories. But I was very independent as well. Somewhat, my parents were very young when they had us. And so there was a certain type of independence that, we all had, but it wasn't necessarily like, it wasn't unnatural to me. And I always think about this because I was like, I do have notes about my parents, but I don't know if I would have done well in a super like strict and like rigid home where do you sit at this table and do your homework. Like I don't know if that would have been like right for what my personality was. I focused when I focused kind of thing. And I don't know. It's like I feel bad. I be feeling bad for kids with like strict parents, even like when I'm like, oh, bed at 6:30. Shit. Like as a kid, I think my imagination and like I was very curious, what I was curious about all the time. I didn't have overbearing parents that were just like, all right, next soccer practice. Now I got to get you to I didn't have that kind of rigidity. So I was very always exploring, different things, like anything that captured my imagination. Um, but otherwise, yeah, I was a pretty, I didn't really have a lot of trouble. I didn't really get in a lot of trouble as a kid, but I will say there was always something about me that people would read as like, I'm going to have to watch you type mischief. And some of it was like, I know what they were, I do laugh and I was chattier when I was, you know what I mean? There was a dynamic to it. But I remember a teacher would say this, like when Mia talks, the other kids listen. So there was something, I had a way of interacting, communicating that kind of would get people roped into things. And I still see that at work today, where I can tell people are kind of like, if I have to get up and give a talk at work or whatever, there's almost like this moment of like, all right, somebody else needs to get up there and say something. She's trying to, she's going to grab, you know what I mean, their opinion, so to speak. So I do remember having that like as an understood slight superpower of being able to bring people together and have people having fun is something I can do. And if you're like wanting, like, especially in the workplace, if you're like wanting everybody to get back to work, they would always be like, Mia needs to come out of the group, even though I'm not doing anything. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I thought you were going to say we need Mia to help us get everybody back to work.
No,
But no,
no.
you're the reason they're not working.
No, that's what they, but we would get more work done than any other team type
Ah.
thing. But there was something about it where if I'm there because we're laughing and people seem to be having a better time, it's just like always kind of like, I'm going to have to watch her. She's over there, they're laughing, they're listening. There's something I've always had that showed up when I was a kid as well, where I'm like, I didn't do anything. So I was that kid, but I was also like, I didn't do anything.
Just look at the results. We're getting our work done.
Right. I'm not, look, I mean, we're done. You said when we're done, we can just chat quietly. We're chatting quietly, but there's something about my energy that creates some type of distraction. And that's the part for me where I was always like a little shy and like kind of battling, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want like all of that type of attention, but it wasn't hard if I was thrown in a group for, you know, it would just read like mischief. Same thing. It would always come up in work reviews too. You did great. Your team's good. Everything's good, but we got to talk. Y'all are goofing around a lot. It was always something like that.
Are you a distraction to the other teams? Is that what they call it?
I think, it's like a loss of control that you would feel if you're running something and you've got 3 different groups and Mia's in this group of 5 and they're over there laughing and getting it done. But that's not how you wanted to control the activity. Do you see what I'm saying? You wanted the focus on the activity, but they're getting it done, but it doesn't feel like they're getting those groups over there are quiet and they're, you know what I mean? They're arguing with each other and they're fighting over who's in charge. And they're laughing and there's something about that always makes people feel like they're not really working. See those miserable people over there, they're clearly working, and I'm like, we're almost done. What did we do?
I feel like there's a lesson in there somewhere. Is that boiled down to any kind of advice to a team leader on how to get your group to be productive and happy at the same time?
Yeah. It's okay. I'm going to tell you, and I actually had a director because we were having to write our self-evaluation. And he was like, if you're here and you're the one organizing all the birthdays, or you're here and you're the one that is helping put together, so-and-so's sick cards or whatever, or you're just here and you're just a good personality, you're all a part of like what makes this place great to come to. Like, when you go to work and you don't even like nobody, like there's that one person at every office that people are like, if they don't come, you're like, it's going to suck today. Everything's going to be a little too uptight. You know what I mean? And so I do think there's an element to always making sure that person is somewhere staffed on your team. Yes, you can get a lot of hard work done, but you need to make the workplace somewhere people actually look forward to going. Like, today ain't going to be so bad. Scott's here. Like, and there's always that one person. And I do think I have that element of like, today's not going to be boring.
Is that what they call a personality hire?
A little bit, but it's one of those things where sometimes the personality hire is just the old class clown. We do have to get the work done, and it doesn't have to be done well. So the problem with that role is that you also need to be somebody people are going to take seriously when it's time to get it done. So you don't want it too like, I don't know, dude, where's my car guy, where it's like, beers. You don't want that too far. He needs to be able to say, hey guys, all right, we're almost done. Do you have, bring yours. You need a little bit of that. So it has to have some maturity and some balance. But a lot of times I feel like, yes, I worried about myself. When I was in college, I worried about what was going to happen in my life and in my career if I'm always that person. And you know what I mean? That person doesn't get promoted as quickly as the one who's like, you know what I mean, acting serious about the job. So that's where I'm like, yes, always making room for knowing, God, people gotta want to come to work. They gotta want to be here in at least 8 hours for this. 8 hours, that's a long time. 5 days a week. You need personalities in offices. So that was my only vibe. But I noticed that when I was a kid, for sure. And as I got older, I think I've found a good balance for it, a better balance for it. But it was something I struggled with.
That's interesting because I was just about to ask you your strengths and your struggles, and that sounds like it was both. It really is something that is a huge benefit that you're able to bring to the workplace, but then you kind of struggle with it. Can you talk about other areas where you feel like a little bit, something comes a little easier to you than a normal person, or other areas where maybe something's a little bit more difficult for you?
Okay. All right.
This can be outside of the workplace too.
I suck with group, when you're supposed to be a part of a crew, I suck at that. I'm too questioning. I'm too, I don't know. I don't really like purple, but I'm really good conversationalist. Like I'm really good at it. And so people would tell you, if you talk to me, you can be talking to me for like 4 to 6 hours. Like you'll just go from conversation to conversation. But I've noticed that was something that made it a little easier for people like me to go on dates. People like me to meet new people. Meet people from different cultures, just being able to find emotional threads in conversations that take it from you telling me about your car to telling me about your first car, and that kind of creates a little bit of a it's easier for me to meet people than I like, and it's also something I get really like frustrated. It's also something I get very frustrated with as well, because I am like, in my mind, I'm an introvert and I'm a little shyer and wanting to like be around people all the time. I do like having my imagination in my alone space. So sometimes if I'm in like a work environment, it's not hard for me to go to a new work environment, and honestly, I'm not even that person who's just like coming up and shaking people's hands. Like it's just really easy for me, and just a basic bump into you in the kitchen conversation. But sometimes, yeah, it creates a lot of relationships sometimes with people that you just you just don't want to manage. You don't want to manage as much. So sometimes it makes me feel like, shit, you're talking to too many people in this neighborhood or in this building. Like now you can't just come home. Now you can't just come home in peace. So I have to be very strategic about, just like letting my curious and my conversational energy out. And sometimes that also gets read really, I can tell, like I hurt people in a way of like, I don't think she wants to talk to me. I don't think she likes me. And it's like, it's not you, it's me. It really is me. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I can't talk to everybody. I know I'm going to need some space. So first 5 people, that's, this sounds awful, but it is true. I am a for sure introvert, but I have a lot of outgoing qualities. So it's kind of gives you sometimes the best of both worlds. But then it also, you know, when your introvert is out and the outgoing person met them, it's a vibe.
Now, you mentioned when you get home, it's a nice break from all these people. Can you talk about home life a little bit when you're not at work? What do you like to do? Surround yourself with? Maybe just describe your home life.
Oh God. Okay, so I do like kind of like fixing up my home and making spaces out of it, but I'm all about cozy. Anything that makes me feel cozy and just relaxed and comfortable, um, and allows for me to just sort of, chill out. So that's my home life. So I have a dog, and I've pretty much always had a dog. So I do like a little animal life. but but other than that, yeah, before that I had a cat, so I like pets. I'm always listen, I love plants. If they stay alive past a couple of years, I got them. If they don't make it in the first 3 months, it wasn't meant to be. So the I do wish I had that jungle like finger, like that ability to make anything grow, because I would probably be full of plants in this house, like for sure. But yeah,
For a
yeah.
minute there, I thought you were still talking about cats.
Listen,
If they don't make it the first 3 months, I'm like, whoa.
oh, no. Then they got. I listen. I did try to do a cat and a dog. Not for me. I'm a one pet person. I garden. So I do like to garden. I do like to listen. I like to do yard work. But it's so rude sometimes because I live in Brooklyn and I'll be like, oh yeah, guys, I gotta get up, I gotta go do the yard. And it's like people will look at me like, but you're a woman. Why wouldn't you hire someone to do the yard? So there's a slight vibe to it, but I love doing I love y'all, there's no better like pride than like making your yard look like the Garden of Eden. There is something to it. So I do like gardening. I did some yard work this morning. It's like, why do you do this? Why don't you pay somebody? But I like it. And then what else? I do a podcast. So that is a part. And then I do a lot of cooking. I do like to make a lot of different desserts, and try out different desserts. So that's my vibe.
What's your podcast about?
Oh my God, it's about movies. I mean, it's like me, I have a podcast partner, and we go see movies. We've got like Alamo Draft House passes. So that changes a lot of things because there's some things I would not tell people to see, but I'm seeing it for like, on a pass for $2, that kind of thing. But we do reviews and give a little history of film or history of like, I don't know, any topic we come up with. But we both are kind of like we met as like kind of like film geeks. So he runs like a film club, cinema club, and throws like a little, film Oscar related parties. So that I met him and I was like, let's do a podcast. He's like, all right, So yeah.
Can I ask you on that? That's really cool. Like, what is your criteria for a movie being good or bad?
Oh my gosh. Okay. My criteria is I think, okay, it doesn't mean that it's my catnip because some movies are just like my catnip and I'll tell you they're bad. Like they're a bad movie. But a good movie to me has to say something truthful about people or the world we live in. And as long as it says something honest and truthful, I think it's like it's got a point. It may not be my point, but it can have a point. But when a movie is like, I don't know, I'm just thinking, there was one movie I was watching, it was based off a memoir, and the woman basically felt like she had, a certain type of medical issue. And it was just like not that medical issue at all. But from her experience, that was the medical issue. And I remember thinking like that was a hard movie to watch because it wasn't honest. I watched another movie like that. With about a wrestler, and I remember when I was watching. Okay, it was like the wife or the girlfriend picked a fight with him right before he was going on to wrestle. And as soon as that happened, I was like, this is not a movie about like just like a bad relationship. Like that's kind of low. Like this guy can get killed doing what he does for a living. And the film never really addresses the fact that the girlfriend is clearly mentally not well. Like it wasn't just like, like my bad girlfriend. I was like, this has gone too far. Like that's really dangerous. That's not a good partner move. So anyway, stuff like that, if it bothers me, I'm like, that was not a good movie. And I didn't think that was honest. That's not just like go to couples therapy moment. Like, you know what I mean? But sometimes I'll watch movies and I'm like, I know this was for somebody who connects with this. It wasn't me, but you know what I mean? This is saying something honest. It doesn't have to be the whole movie. I'm okay with a little fantasy here, but it has to say something honest about people. Otherwise, what are we doing?
So when you say catnip, oh, like what are movies that you're like, I know this is bad, but this is totally, I
Oh,
loved this.
God. Like I'm trying to think. I like weird action movies. And some of them are, bad scripts, like nobody was punching anybody, but everybody's falling out. Those are pretty bad movies, and they're not old. It's not like they're kind of, some of them are recent vibes, and at the same time, if I enjoy it, I'm like, oh, that was funny. But I would never tell anybody to go see it. Like it was really good. And I always say this, I'm like, there's two films that are being played in front of us. There's the film that the director and the creators intended. And then there's the film that the audience perceives. And so sometimes you'll watch that movie, you're watching it with that guy and he's like, oh, that poor woman. You're like, you mean the woman who tried to kill everybody? And he's like, I just think she was misunderstood. But that's not what they're telling us in the film. Like you're reaching, you know what I mean? That was your catnip. You got hooked onto something you like, and then you overwritten the whole film with that, you know what I mean? With that whole point. But the director was getting across that she's the killer and she's actually crazy. She's not just lonely, like so there's something where I do like hearing, I don't even care how bad, I do like hearing people's experience with the movie because it sometimes says more about themselves and what they connect with and like, what tugs on their heartstrings, like she cried. You're like, a lot of people cry, man, she was faking it. She was killing everybody, but that I like hearing people's opinions about it. It sometimes, especially if you're out of the film nerd space, because they're going to bring up the cameras and the sound and the music. But some people are going to be like, I thought that guy was hot. And you're like, he was hot? The wife beater? You know? You know what I mean? And you're hearing more about the person than you are about the film. It's good. It's fun. I think it's interesting. But my catnip is like I've never liked the reverse where it's the rich girl and the poor guy, but I love the rich guy and the poor girl. I don't know what it is, but if that Cinderella story comes up, I'm like, I'll go see it. This could be really beautiful. Like, it could be really romantic. But if it's the reverse, I'm usually just like, I feel nothing, like absolutely nothing.
You're like, okay, the woman deserves a guy that's not poor, or this is unbelievable in the patriarchy that this story even exists.
No, they run the same trope. She's always got to be mean. Get my things and you don't even belong here, but I'm into you. Like she's always like fighting her feelings, no vulnerabilities. It's just like really like, why are you being mean? And why are you saying things about his job? Like, what's wrong? Like, I completely disconnect from that type of character. But that's the usual trope they'll go with, like, I'm so spoiled, but now I have to, you know, ride in a car with a stinky boy, and you're just like, I don't connect with her at like, girl, get on a plane then, or hitchhike, do what you got to do, but quit complaining. There's some aspects where I just won't connect with the tone of that trope, but that's where I'm like, sometimes I'll connect on the other one, the Cinderella story I'll connect on or something. And I love a good, there's some movies where it's like, listen, there's no one who's going to be able to rescue this woman. She has to rescue herself. And that's the vibe. But I do love a good rescue. Like, if he's coming to get you and he said he's going to come and get you, I appreciate him putting his words and actions together and saving a life. So sometimes I'm just like, okay, I'll go watch that too. But if it's bad, I'll tell you, girl, it was bad, but I loved it. It was great for me. I know that I think I can know the difference, I guess.
It sounded like one thing was, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if a character does something bad, well, in this example, it was the woman who's going to murder a bunch of people or whatever. Do you, but then you get the feeling that the director is trying to make you empathize with them and forgive them. Do you have a hard time with character redemption or forgiveness in general?
I need some steps along the way, but yeah, there's a dynamic where I used to have a period in my life where I believed that all people can change and they just needed enough, whatever patience and care and whatnot. And that's still kind of something that I hold in the back of my mind. But having been in some crazy workplaces, there was a dynamic where it would always kind of like, oh, no, I think they're just having a bad week, and I've had to learn how to go like, look, they can clearly, anybody can have a turnaround and be redeemed. I just don't know if they're going to do it on my time, like, or in the time frame I want them to. So I got to move on, kind of thing. So yeah, I do believe though that people, like, when I'm watching this story, and it's like the woman's the killer and the director wants us to sympathize and empathize. I do feel that, she's got her reasons. She's got her reasons, but I still feel like I don't like ruinous empathy. And I do think sometimes people who have like a high capacity for empathy can turn it into a space where we just forget, like, I don't want to say like, that's fine, but she still needs to go to jail or the bitch still got to die. Like, there's a dynamic where it's like you can empathize and still hold boundaries. And I think that's always kind of like a good practice. You know what I mean? You don't, she's killing people for a reason, I guess.
Is it that she still needs to be brought to justice, or do you want to, like, the characters just need to come to some equilibrium where there's just this resolution at the end, one way or the other?
You know what? I'm open to the director as long as they're giving me the evidence along the way. So I can get down with that. Sometimes, in other words, I think that ties back to the film has to say something truthful. So let's say they want me to really empathize with her. I need those scenes, those behind the scenes moments where she's like, I don't want to kill. I don't want to do it. I need something to help me get to that end where it's like, yeah, she's really trying to like fight through this pain. She's still doing the wrong thing. And I'll run with the director. But if he doesn't give me that, and then we get to that courtroom, I'm doing this. She's a psychopath. She's fooling everybody. Like, I need justice right now. I need justice. So it just depends on what they set up. But sometimes I think we get like, when you watch Breaking Bad, I don't know if y'all watched Breaking Bad, but when Breaking Bad kicks off, there is definitely that like, well, if I knew how to cook maybe I would if I had cancer and all these circumstances were set up. But that's not really true. That's not true of most people. And it's interesting when you keep going season after season. He is very clear on feeling justified in what he has to do to help everybody. And I think that's their job as actors and performers, is to believe in their characters and stuff. But I was watching it and enjoying that the creator he didn't shy away from showing that Walter he's an asshole. Like, he's a real asshole. You know what I mean? Walter's going to sell you the sob story, but the filmmaker has to stand back and sell you the truth. And that's where I'm like, Breaking Bad is fun. At no point, we enjoyed him. We all kind of enjoyed him, but he had to come to justice at some point. He was not a good person. And I'm not sure if I do believe there's this attitude about like crimes of opportunity. Like, if the opportunity didn't come up, they wouldn't have done it. But I think a lot of times, if you haven't developed your integrity, opportunities can expose, really bad situations can expose like what's happening on the inside of you. So he started off a school teacher, right? Helping people. But by the time he's got cancer and financial problems, you start to realize like he wasn't really, you know what I mean? He wasn't that cool of a dude. Y'all look really sad on this one, but you get my point. I feel like the filmmaker has one job and then the actor has another. But I do remember people getting mad at the Killers of the Flower Moon. They were like, Scorsese's trying to make these guys look really sympathetic. And I was like, I don't think he was, but I do feel like the actors were really good in drawing out like, I don't want to do the wrong thing. And I feel like it was still a good movie, but I can tell people didn't want their sympathies played with. They didn't like having their emotions played with.
Well, I definitely need to hand it over to Sarah, but can I ask one last question? How do you handle yourself in disagreements?
Oh my goodness. Oh, first off, I suck probably. I'm good for listening, and I do probably push for more clarity first. So, I got this. Was that what you were intending? I'm probably going to really try to hammer it out that way. But with disagreements, like the more explosive ones, I don't feel like they come out of nowhere. I'm usually saying like, hey, I've been having problems with this or that here. But I think disagreements, honestly, as I've gotten older, are not as hard. I think just because of my style. But I've noticed that depending on who I'm having the disagreement with, it can fracture, if not completely kill the relationship. So sometimes I'm usually backing up a little bit before that happens. It's tough as you get older. People's priorities and values change, and you do want to hold on to that bit of history. But once I start to notice the conflict is just feeling too high, that's when I start to skate back a little bit more. But in my direct working relationships, conflict, I feel like it's gotten a lot better as I've gotten older. But I used to be highly conflict avoidant and highly like, can't we all just live in harmony? And that does not work. That can actually cause just as much problems. The harmony person can be a little bit too slow to want to address things head on. So it's just more working on that timing of like recognizing that not every hard conversation is urgent, but you don't need to wait 2 years to tell them that they ruined your birthday. You know what I mean? That's that vibe where I'm like, that's probably what would take up a lot of my brain power. So that's why I say with certain relationships where I'm meeting people a lot, I have to slow that down because it has to be people you want to have some conflict with, and you can trust in knowing that they're going to listen and hear you out too. That takes time. But yeah, I've gotten better. Haven't arrived, but gotten better, I think.
All right. Well, I'm going to jump in now. And I do have a lot of questions. So if you can be brief with them and just kind of give me a short answer on them or just your quick
I'm in.
take. All right. So are you the type of person, do you talk to yourself a lot or think
Yeah.
out loud? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Like constantly all day?
Pretty much every morning. Yes, for sure.
Okay.
For
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Um, and can you tell me about your friend group? Are you drawn to men or women or a mix, or what does your friend group look like?
It's going to be a mix. But I still to this day probably end up goofing off with boys. Uh, but a lot of my female or women friends are pretty goofy too. I would say that that's one thing they all have in common.
Have you ever had like a history of having difficulty getting along with women?
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Working in fashion for sure.
How
Yeah.
about just with like not necessarily in the context of work, but just like female relationships, like friends outside of work? Have you
No, yes and no. I'd say it's half and half. I'd say it's half and half, though.
okay, but maybe not more than the next person?
Probably more than the next person.
Okay. There's definitely, sorry, there's a little gnat flying around me. Are you the type of person that would say like I prefer male friends because women are challenging?
No, I would
Okay.
not.
So you have some good female friends, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Okay. Are you the type of person to misplace your phone and keys a lot?
no,
Okay. Um, do you, when it comes to like text messages and emails, are you the type of person that has to have them all cleared, or do you have like, if I looked at your phone, would it say 9,000 text messages?
it'll say zero text messages, but under five missed calls or voicemails. And I would say my emails are probably like 100 plus, but under 500.
Okay. Um, and do you like to send text messages or do you like to do the voice notes?
Ooh, I do a mix of both. And
Okay.
I may phone call you too.
Okay. And oh my God, this bug. Um it's just annoying me.
It's a
Um
sign.
I know. Okay. Do you like to play trivia?
Not as much as I would be found playing trivia.
Okay.
I was dragged into that game if you see me playing any kind of trivia.
Okay. Okay. Um, let's see. How are you with time management? Do you run late a lot?
Okay, I definitely have started to run late. And I've been told that if I'm not late, I'm there right on the dot. But it's rare that I'm showing up to places super early.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like you're the one friend that's always late or
No, but
okay.
I am that one friend that people would say I'm always late, even though I told them I wasn't going to be there until 2 o'clock.
Check the record.
Which is on time if I'm there at 2 o'clock.
You set the expectation ahead of time.
Yes, exactly. Which puts me on time.
Do you get accused of like flirting with everybody?
Oh my gosh. That's funny how you said it because I'm like, have I been flirting with you?
No, no, I just mean
I'm so kidding. You've been flirting with everybody? No, I have been told yes, but yes, that would probably be something that somebody would say was possible. But I would say not, but I can see how everyone else.
so maybe it sounds like you've had experiences where you weren't flirting with someone, but they thought you were.
I'm a very active, engaged person in conversation, and I play around a lot. So I
Okay.
know that that gets confused for flirting. I do know that.
Okay. Okay.
But I try to mind the social atmosphere, but let's be clear. It
Okay. Are you, do you have trouble like making up your mind about like say you're gonna pick a restaurant. Do you come up with like 20 different options and it's hard to pick one?
not 20, but I probably have a taste for something and then I have a second and third option. So yeah, I'm not like, no, no, I pretty much know what I want to eat.
You know. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you tend to order the same things?
Yeah, pretty much.
Um, okay. Do you like to be adventurous with food or?
If I'm socializing, I like to be adventurous with food, but on my own, I'm a little less food adventurous.
Okay. Do you tend to wear your heart on your sleeve?
Hmm. Probably not as much as I would want to, but yeah and no. Let me.
Let me rephrase it then. Um, do you express your emotions easily, or do you feel like you try to repress them and keep them bottled up?
Okay, I definitely don't try to repress or bottle them up. I don't express emotions easily. I express my thoughts a lot easier, and I try to think about what I'm feeling. But I do try to express it when I feel like it's really important um, to do so, which is often, I think.
Okay. Um, do you cry easily
I do now, yeah.
compared to,
When I was a kid, when
okay.
yeah.
Why did you not cry as much as when you were a kid, do you think?
I don't know. I think I just didn't have that type of attachment to things sometimes. And as I got older, I just get more sentimental about small, special things. So
Okay.
yeah,
Um, do you get your feelings hurt easily?
I would say not as easily as I think I do.
Okay.
There's things that happen, they don't bother me. And then people are like, can't believe that didn't bother you. And I'm like, I know. And I get my feelings hurt all the time. I don't know. So there is a dynamic where I think I look like I have thicker skin. And some things I do kind of like have more of an empathy dynamic of like, they're just having a bad day or that was a mistake. They meant this. But I do get my feelings hurt pretty easily and just certain things I know I take home with me and it makes me sad you know
Do you often experience kind of like intense emotions that you keep to yourself?
I usually like to keep all the intense emotions to myself. I if I express any type of like rage publicly, I do feel embarrassed.
Okay. Do you struggle with perfectionism?
Not really, no.
These are so random. How tall are you?
Oh, I'm 5'5", 5'5".
Okay. Um, how are you about money? Do you spend money easily, or are you like conservative? I mean, are you easily tempted to spend money on the things that you like spending money on?
Yes, I am. I'm very good with a budget. I'm great with saving, and I'm a patient shopper. So I'm not the most impulsive buyer. But I do like saving up for things that I love to buy, things that make me happy. So it's a balance. I like to
What
look at,
type of things are they?
oh, what type of things? I love perfume. I love fragrances. So those are probably my like my little like whoopsie impulse splurgy. Fragrances just and then I love lingerie. And
Ooh, cool.
I like nice lingerie. And so I wait for sales for stuff that I cannot afford if it's not on sale. But it is an area where someone would be like, where's the other money? And it's like, well, I went shopping and but it's not from a place of like I don't, I've got all these credit cards I need to figure out.
Okay.
It's a built-in part of like making sure I'm happy.
Is lighting important to you?
Lighting?
Yeah, like having good lighting in your home.
Okay, no, but I've gotten so many complaints that I've improved.
Okay. It's interesting. Can you share any health issues that you've experienced from anything major diagnosis to anything extremely minor, like twisting an ankle or,
No, I've always been pretty healthy. I've always had a high bilirubin. I was born with a high bilirubin, and I'm in medical book journals because they had to like leave me under a light, I guess. But now I think that's just the procedure. But it has shown up as issues when I've gone for medical testing and things like that. What else?
I'm sorry, what did you say that was? High bilirubin?
Bilirubin. It's when when babies have jaundice. It's basically like your body has a hard time metabolizing its waste in the cells, and so it just sort of like it's almost like a toxic sewage blood system.
Oh,
Full of full of shit. So essentially with babies it'll make them completely yellow, and then you'll see for some people who ultimately have like liver issues, you'll see like I feel like, and please don't, I hate misinformation, but I think like a Michael Jordan, when you see those like yellow eyes as people get older, that's coming from liver and being able to metabolize, waste from cells and that kind of thing. But anyways, I have a high bilirubin, and that's kind
do you
of
know how to spell that? I was just trying to Google it really quickly.
Bilirubin, I think is, and there may be a couple
Okay.
L's or a couple a double L.
Okay. And okay. And so do you experience any symptoms from that, or is that just something you have to
You
let
know what? It's
them?
something where it's always been such a huge mystery, but I've always felt like it had a little bit more to do with how I metabolize alcohol. So I'm not the biggest like, drinker, because I can get sick pretty quickly, but it's mostly like I won't feel drunk at all until like right when it's time to black out or throw up or whatever. But it's always been this weird thing where it's like I can't get through a ton of drinks, in the way that some people build a tolerance. It's just, I think it's just like got a lot to do with like my liver, how it's processing things, what I ate before I was drinking, that whole vibe. Um, but yeah, I'm a
Okay.
lightweight, I guess.
Have you ever had any skin or hair issues?
Oh yeah, I had impetigo. I had the chicken pox, um, and yeah,
That's another one I have to Google. Impetigo.
impetigo.
Okay, so it's just like it was just a something like a virus that went around or something or bacterial.
There's probably a vaccine for it now that
Okay.
takes care of things, but essentially you get these like welts on your skin and then they go away. But I always still see certain like remnants of it, and but I always had like certain like hormone related issues, but nothing that would be like diagnosed by the doctors.
Okay. Do you like being in the sun?
I do. I do.
Okay. I think you already answered this or indirectly. Are you good at addressing your own self-care and needs? Like,
I've learned. I've learned. So yeah, I've learned to do that better. But I used to be really bad at it, to be honest.
okay. Um, is it hard to change your mind?
Oh, I've heard I can be really stubborn. Yes, but it's hard to get my mind fixed to an idea.
Okay.
So it kind of, they work both ways.
Okay. Um, all right. This might be a sensitive topic, so you don't have to go into much, but have you ever been in like a relationship with someone who is uh controlling or secretive or
Yes.
okay.
Yes, yes. Um,
Is that a pattern for you, or was there a really big instance of that?
I do come across very controlling, more controlling personality types for sure. Um, and I do think there is something to me that draws them, and there's something about them that I seem to think more is being promised. But yeah, I've had a history of like connecting to people who are probably more on the like controlling side than they are on the like passive end.
Okay. Um, are you currently in a relationship?
No.
Okay. Um, how involved are you in politics and how much do you think about it? And I know it's like kind of an interesting time to ask that. I guess, I guess it's like, I guess I'm trying to think if I can rephrase that. Maybe if you could think back to prior to um
No, we can talk about now.
2016, you
Now,
know.
you asked this question, you were like, do you talk to yourself? And yes, I do. So, too much politics, and I can ruminate into the worst conspiracies. So, I have to keep a good balance. And what's a good balance? I don't really engage in politics if I'm feeling depressed or lonely or frustrated with the world or my neighbors or whatever, because that kind of can amp me into a very hard and a rigid space
Okay.
where the doom picks up. But I do like to stay engaged, but probably not in the most like obvious of like latest news article. I do like to go look at little things happening in places that no one's talking about, and just kind of get a little more perspective. But I have had this question asked. I do not let the news just run through my phones and my television. I can end up into like a very closed off space,
Okay.
letting too much get absorbed.
Okay. Um, have you had any significant, I'm trying to think how to phrase this, because I feel like some of these questions, I feel like, yeah, everyone could relate to it, but I mean it more significantly. Are you someone who often experiences feeling alienated?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. In what way?
Just
Like in your family or friend group or work?
I think I had expressed this earlier. I don't do great with groups. And underneath all of that is that feeling of feeling more alienated in groups than I feel like I'm a part of what's going on. So I do really great with people one on one, but once someone says come join our women's sewing circle, I already know there's something about my personality and the way that I can engage with groups that create the alienation. It's not like,
Mm.
uh, they're dying to kick me out. It's just going to You know what I
Do you
mean?
th-
It's just the way that I start to the type of anxiety I can sometimes bring when I'm like, I'm in a group. They want me to all agree with them.
yeah, can you kind of like put a point on that? Like, what personality traits of yours do you think are, um, in at least in your mind, criticized by a group of people or in conflict? Because you seem like a people person, but
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, no, I'm trying to think. I think people, what happens is like, it's not really happening in the group. It's happening in my head. And I start
Mm.
to pull back into my introversion. And then people start to go, why didn't you show up? Why aren't you more involved? Why aren't you trying more to like, you know what I mean? And once that pressure starts to add up, that's when I start to feel like really amp up but it's more of something like, I don't want to say it's something I create, but it
Do
is something where I'm the common denominator.
do you feel like it's more you start getting in your head and you just go introverted, or do you think that it's legitimate like alienation where, wow, I'm so different than these people, or they treat me differently? Um,
It's okay. So it's almost like I go into the group, get along, we're getting along, and then somebody says something. I go home. That hurt my feelings. But
okay.
with the group, it was all in good jest. That really revealed what they thought about me. And that might create the first steps of like alien, like I need to pull back. Let's pull back. That person maybe, went too hard, and we don't need to get our feelings hurt. We're in the group. And then that's when my alienation starts to get picked up by the group. And then they all band together.
I got you.
You
And
see it.
is it you got, when you said feelings hurt, are you talking about your own feelings or someone else's?
It would probably be either or.
Oh, okay, okay.
I see someone else getting their feelings hurt, then I'm like, oh, we're going to pull back from the group. But if it's for me, like my feelings hurt for sure. But it could be something, like I said, it's something where, when you just know people's heart and they didn't really mean it.
Hmm.
That's the part where I don't leave the group. I keep going back. And then if it keeps going on, I start to feel like, okay, this group's not as safe as I thought, but now they expect me every Tuesday. And that's when there's like this rebel that comes out. And I always just think, leave these people alone. They're all getting along as a group. You're not getting along in this group. So, but people are usually like, where did you go? You were wonderful. We were enjoying you. But by the time my head's built it up, it's like, I knew I knew they felt that way about me. So there's a dynamic where I think I'm a part of that introversion and the way that you kind of end up overthinking and over analyzing situations that contributes to my group alienation experience, but it's not like the Hunchback of Notre Dame moment of, you know what I mean? It's just more of, I think, anxiety, like what people have in social anxiety. Mine really doesn't pop up one on one, but it does show up in a big old group.
Okay. Okay. Are you close to your mother still?
No,
Okay. No, are you in contact with your mother?
no.
Okay. So do you want to skip over that?
I was like, look, who's listening?
Yeah, it's okay. We don't have to talk about it.
I'm like, I
Okay.
think you have enough. No, I'm joking. But that probably, yeah, I definitely am not in contact with my mother. But
Is it
we can get along. We have personalities that get along very well, but we do have a very big difference in boundaries and what we think are appropriate.
Okay. Um, okay, I'm wrapping up here. Would you rather in your free time like learn a new skill, or do you like just reading about different things?
Learn a new skill. That's
Okay. Are you a skill collector?
probably.
Okay.
Probably.
Okay. And then what kind of, you mentioned that you like to read. What kind of books do you like to read?
Ooh, I do like the stuff around, psychology. I like reading about, healing. I like reading about anything that improves life. But I was on to this detective series for a hot minute, and that was like my like all day, every day. I do like a good detective series.
Okay. Okay. All right. Um, I think that's all my well, I mean, I guess just has anything been going on for like the last 6 months, like since the beginning of this year, that is like if you had to give that chapter a title, is there anything that stands out?
Started podcasts. I've always wanted to start a podcast. So um that was great. That was one of those
Okay.
skills I collected and then made some use of.
So that's a relatively new thing.
You know what? It wasn't. So I started voice acting and I was like learning how to do that. And then I just fell off. Like
Oh,
completely
okay.
fell off. And I had mics and then that's when I was like, oh, let me take a podcast class. And so I collect different skills until they add up to something that I'm like, this would be interesting, you know.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Podcasts are not all sunshine and rainbows. No, I can tell already that your podcast is a fun listen. Um, and at the end, we'll plug that and anything else you want to plug. But in the meantime, I'm gonna put you in the waiting room
Okay.
while Sarah and we compare notes a little bit. We make our choices, and then we're gonna bring you back, see if we're right.
Okay. I'm excited. I'm so
I
excited.
just imagine you're gonna be giggling the whole time you're in the waiting room.
I'm really looking forward to this. So y'all go do it because I hope y'all get close. Wait, is there like a getting close
No,
type of
there's
or
right or
wrong?
wrong. We got to choose one or the
And
other.
then if you guys say the right one, I say yes. But if you say wrong,
Right.
do I
Yeah.
not say anything at all and let you guys keep guessing?
You'll just tell us wrong and we'll know that it's the other chart.
Okay, let's
Yep.
do
All right. We'll see you back here in a bit.
it.
Sarah,
Scott.
were you leaning one way the whole time or were you going back and forth?
Um, I was trying to be really open in the beginning. And I was. And then I just, yeah, started to lean one way.
Me too. Oh, actually, I kind of changed my mind. Um, I was leaning towards one, and then during your questioning, because during my questioning, I'm focused on the questions, just like you say when you're doing yours sometimes. It's like I'm not processing the information as much.
Yeah, and that's where I guess I feel like I'm at a disadvantage when it wraps up.
You go
And
first next time. Let's do that, because I went too long this time. I swear,
yeah.
my question section was like 40 minutes.
Yeah, maybe I'll just experiment with going first.
Let's do it. I'm
But
all.
mine tend to be kind of like random or deeper or
I love
yeah.
it. I think there's
Yeah.
no rules when it comes to how we do these interviews because
Okay.
the whole
You mean
point,
investigations,
these
interrogations.
investigations, because the whole point is to get to the right chart. It's not like we need to do the biography of each person. We need to analyze the areas that need to be analyzed. We need to know where you were last Thursday at 8 p.m. We don't need to know anything else about our subject, you know? So
Hmm.
maybe, yeah. Hey, listeners, leave us a comment. Do you think Sarah should go first and get us on the track? And then I can always chirp in and follow up. I don't mind chirping.
Chirping.
I do a little chirping.
Sharpen. That's funny.
All right. We got our cards in hand, our beautiful cards designed by Sarah that can be found
Let's
on
show
our,
both of them.
maybe our website.
Not on our website. In
Soon,
my Etsy
maybe
store.
one day it'll be a link on our
In my
website.
Etsy store, Hartshorn Astrology, if you want to deepen your astrology practice or you're a beginner, you
Yeah.
can get these really cool uh not trivia cards, what do you call them?
Info cards?
Not trading flashcards. You know,
Flashcards.
if
All
you're
right.
like
Yeah.
studying and you want to quiz yourself, or if you just want to keep the keywords handy, they've got, the keywords, some body parts, and different things that are related to the sign.
Yeah. That's good. We got one of those cards in each of our hands.
Yes.
It may be the
Well, I
same
had
one.
Okay.
Well, yeah. But right now we're just holding one.
Yeah.
We're choosing between an Aquarius and a Gemini. I'm holding one of those two cards. Sarah's got hers. Are we on the same page? Let's find out.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Aquarius?
A Gemini.
All right. I was leaning Gemini the whole time, but then some of your questions towards the end were making me think maybe she's an Aquarius. Let's try that one out. There was plenty to go in either direction, which
Actually, I used to say I didn't like it when we picked the same, and now I don't like it when we pick differently.
when we pick the same, it's like safe. We're either both going up or both going down.
Yeah.
But when it's like a competition and we're on different pages, then it is a little scary because one of us is actually going to be gaining ground or losing ground on the other. But who's it going to be? That's what we're going to find out when we're back with Mia right after this. Hey listeners, we're not just a podcast that tests astrology, we're an independent detective agency. That means we rely on you to help us keep the show running.
Exactly. By joining AstroDetectives on Patreon, you can support our mission to finally prove astrology is real.
Or, completely debunk it.
Here we go again.
One thing we can agree on, AstroDetectives is the only place you'll find astrologers and skeptics working together, like a buddy cop movie you didn't know you needed.
And trust me, detective work takes time, gathering evidence, late night stakeouts, solving cases, especially when Mercury's retrograde.
Okay, you can't blame Mercury.
The first step is easy and free. Just follow AstroDetectives on Patreon to get access to our debrief episodes where the conversation continues after each case ends. We break down what went right and what went wrong.
And if you want to fast track your training, become a rookie detective for only $3 a month. You'll unlock exclusive bonus episodes, plus early releases and the top secret case files sent straight to your inbox.
Or for just $1 a month, we'll make you an Astro intern. No compensation per se, but hey, you'll gain valuable detective experience and that warm fuzzy feeling knowing you're helping us keep the lights on.
So if you like what we're doing and want to support us, head over to patreon.com/astrodetectives and join the investigation today. Welcome back, everybody. We're joined again with Mia. Sarah and I have made our choices. We are on different pages. We chose different charts. That's always exciting. That means we'll have a winner and a loser today. And we're both hoping that we're on the winning side. Mia, we were choosing between an Aquarius and a Gemini. Hopefully you are one of those two sun signs.
Okay.
Okay. I'll be asking for me. If what I ask is wrong,
Yes.
Sarah will be very happy because that means she was right.
Okay.
All right, Mia. Are you the Aquarius?
No, I am not.
Oh, Sarah, look at you. Thrilled over there. We're gonna,
The Gemini.
yeah, we are going to connect the dots, figure out what went wrong, what went right. But before we do, Mia, where can our listeners, check out your podcast, but any other place that you want to send them or any other advice or life lessons you want to leave them with?
No. Oh my God.
That's a full plate of options for you.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, everything. The podcast is called Do You See What I Mean? It's Joey Cooper and Mia Ward, and we are on, I think, anywhere you can get your podcast. So that's that. But I probably on that podcast list all kinds of weird books and things that I've consumed and whatever places of wisdom you can go look and check out. But thank you. Yes, I'm really excited to wait. So where did you guys go right? What happened with the Aquarius part?
Yeah, I chose the Aquarius chart. Sarah chose the correct Gemini chart.
Okay.
And then we're going to go into the details on what was in each of those two charts on the debrief,
Okay.
which you're able to stick around for.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so I'll wrap up this episode and then we'll do the debrief. All right, that's it, everyone. Let us know what you thought by commenting on whatever platform you follow us on. Links to our accounts are in the show notes. As always, thanks to Mike, our IT guy, for his random Chartifier thingy. A little too random for me this time because I missed it. If you like the show and want to support it, you can visit patreon.com/AstroDetectives, where this conversation continues on the free Patreon-only debrief. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube so you don't miss the next episode. Rate and review and tell your friends. And until next time, this case is closed.